Okay, so we're recording. Welcome again to the Happy Pocket Full of Money book review. It's so good of you to join. I appreciate you. And today we're going to go over conditions. They are fantastic illusions. The last time we talked, we were talking about the the cause and effect. So this is what you now have is a good introduction to the universe's prime law. As you read the remaining chapters, you will understand this law a whole lot more clearly, especially after reading the chapters on conditions, success, and quantum physics. Now that you're armed with knowledge of the law that runs the universe, let us have a look at what conditions and success truly are. You're about to enter into one of the most beautiful, forgiving, and encouraging journeys you've ever taken. Conditions. They are fantastic illusions. I once had this rather complex dream. It was in a language that was, well, symbolic, but wordless would be the best way to describe it. It was one of those dreams one gets when they're just almost waking up, when they're half awake, half asleep. I was well aware of what was happening. An orange wall appeared in front of my eyes, and I began to pay attention. Then, in a script that looked like symbols, yet which I could somehow read during the dream, words started to appear that said something like, "Conditionality doesn't exist. It is created." And it went on for quite some discussion time. A knowing voice also read along in a vibration-like language. As I watched and understood, it was about 5 sentences long, very complete and sensible knowledge. It ended in seconds, and I quickly got up and pulled out my notebook to try to write again the exact words that were spoken. But the minute I started getting frantic, looking for a pen, I lost the words exactly. In any case, their composition was not linear, like these sentences in this book are. Nevertheless, I, of course, was able to keep the understanding even though I lost the exact wording. Here in this chapter is the essence of it. It is a little easier to understand if you first understood the real nature of time and quantum physics. Once you fully understand time, you will also understand that it is a scientific illusion. Einstein and other brilliant scientists have shown us how the space-time continuum really works. We now see how everything, the past, present, and future, all exist in an eternal moment of now. But being little participants within this moment, we experience a sensation of time as we pass other participants in that continuum. It's a very interesting perspective. As we see in quantum physics, the quantum soup, quote, quote, is quite literally all these things and options that can possibly existing all at one go. In other words, as everything you can possibly imagine and more all exists already, and it exists at this moment of now. Everything. So a wealthy you and a non-wealthy you all exist simultaneously, but you are experiencing only one of them. You're conscious, awake to, and aware of one. It is now time for you to put your thinking cap on. Here we go. If everything exists all at one go, right now, can you see how conditions do not exist as real properties of the universe? If all possible outcomes exist, how can there be a condition against certain outcomes existing when they already exist? Look, just a moment ago, you read that last sentence. You have already read it. How then can there be a condition that you have not read it when you have already read it? It is not possible. So because everything possible, everything conceivable already exists. It is not possible for a condition of its not existing against its already existing. You have any questions so far, Abrar?
What is this today you are talking about?
Today we're talking about conditionality, and the perspective of everything already existing at the same time, and how you're going to see. So why don't we just keep reading a little bit more, and then if you have a specific question, you can unmute yourself, okay? I'm just going to mute you for now. So basically, he said everything exists at the same time. Your being wealthy already exists scientifically and spiritually. All you need to do is shift your awareness, your consciousness, to that part of yourself that is wealthy. There are no conditions of that part existing. Nothing can stop it from existing because it already exists. But you can create other outcomes that look like conditions. For example, another thing that exists, but which you may not be experiencing, is you're not being wealthy materially. You're feeling procrastination or feeling out of time. You're going to the casino, for example, and getting a gambling habit, being in a poor country, having no education, and so on. All these are independent existences that are the opposite of wealthy existence. But just because they exist does not mean that the wealthy existence does not exist or exist depending on these other existences. People make a mistake of saying, well, if I was born into a wealthy family or in a good country or with this gift or that knowledge, or if I went to that college or had that thing happen to me, I would be wealthy. They assume that wealth has a condition. Yet, what they call a condition is actually another independent existence. In other words, you can get to wealth with or without having to pass through the so-called condition. You do not need to fulfill these conditions to get wealthy. But when you believe in conditions, then they will be there. So it's all in your mind, is what he's saying. There are countless paths to wealth, and conditions are just one of those paths. It is your choice whether or not you wish to go through conditions. Even time, which looks like a condition, is not a condition. People think you need a lot of time and age to get wealthy, so it happens that way for them, but it does not have to be that way. You know, when I was reading this earlier, and I was thinking that, honestly, I can do whatever I want. There's really nothing stopping me. And so whatever is the fastest way I can conceive of the path to wealth, I can just pursue it. And that was so powerful for me to just come to that realization that I just started applying myself in different areas. And it's amazing. People think that they're bound to a particular path, but if they only thought outside the box, which he's going to go in touch on, then they'll realize that there's no condition on their success. It's all in their mind. So everything that is conceivable exists. You can only understand this if you understood the nature of time, quanta, and spirit. Conditions are not if-then statements, and separate having and not having. They are just another outcome out of an infinite number of outcomes. They do exist as conditions. They do not exist as conditions, sorry. They exist as just another possible existence. You do not have to pass through them. But if you believe in conditions and you create them, then of course you will experience them. The important thing to know is that even scientifically, conditions do not exist as if-then statements, as requirements that you have to go through, or as traps that you're born in and must stay in, or as things you can only get out of using certain actions and getting certain help that is outside of you. Conditionality does not exist. We've designed conditionality on our own. What you call a condition is not a condition. It is just another one of infinite possible existences, and it does not exclude you from having another existence. Read on and you will understand them, and then overcome them. Conditionality does not exist. What do you feel so far, Michelle? You can unmute.
So when I first heard that, I was ecstatic because I had come to the understanding that I was a creator and I create my own reality, right? So I didn't understand how I would get from where I am now to that wealthy life. And when I read this and I realized that all scenarios exist inside this one moment now, and I'm just choosing to remember a certain time, a certain experience, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
All I had to do was change my consciousness so that it expanded into what I already knew and what already existed. So that like opened up a whole new world for me in that I didn't have to like struggle anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps I brought this on to experience the struggle for some reason or another, but it was entirely a choice that I made.
Yeah.
And, you know, the answers will be revealed as the journey continues, kind of is where I'm at.
Right. I was just listening to Scott Olford, who was talking about advice he had received from a billionaire when he was 17 years old. And it was that as an entrepreneur, you really want to spend as much time as possible with your feet up on top of the desk and just, you know, leaning back. And people have a hard time understanding that. That has to do with you choosing the things that only you can do and then finding other ways to get other things done. So it's about letting go and not necessarily feeling like you have to be in control of everything, because honestly, you can delegate a lot of things out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you can leverage a lot of things like we do in our business. We leverage a system that handles like 90% of the work. And so if we just do the things that only we can do, maybe it's like the creative part or the managerial part. We can actually find people. If you want to be resourceful, you can find people to do all the other stuff for you. So
Mm-hmm.
just something to throw that out there. There is no limit on our level of abundance or our level of wealth. It's just a matter of what we put in our heads and how we think of it. So let's move on. Conditions. They are fantastic illusions. Outside circumstances can only affect you as far as you allow them to do so. Oh my gosh, Michelle. This one was like, I believe this so wholeheartedly. You are in control of your emotions. You are in control of your reactions to every outside circumstance, and they do not have control over you. Like somebody in your family can pass away, and you are in control of how you can react to that. Obviously, you might want to, you know, have that human emotion of sadness and all that, but like literally, that's like a very far, you know, example. But I'm just saying that doesn't have to that doesn't have to spiral you down into a depression or something like that. You know, things can happen, and it's a matter of how you react, how you choose to react to them. You know, and so very important. Outside circumstances can only affect you as far as you allow them to do so. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Let me get a last sip of water. The outer environment and conditions of a person are always related to the person's inner states and thought. It is through the environment and conditions that a person experiences and discovers their thoughts and states. This is made possible by the fact that the universe, without error, fashions the environment and conditions a person has from their thoughts and states of being. So it's kind of like a whole perspective, like a virtual reality type of thing. That's what this guy's getting at. And yeah, everything is a matter of perspective. So your whole universe, the way you experience it, is it's your perspective. It's your unique perspective, and how it affects you. It's kind of like how you allow it to affect you. So a person is always in the perfect setting to see and experience themselves to change and grow. It is in recognizing and using this perfect system that a person can direct and quicken their growth in wealth and in all other areas. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Think outside the square. The square is the box that has been created by your past conditioning, experiences, teachers, news, environment, and so on. It is not a real box. It only exists in the mind, in your mind, and in the minds of those around you. This is all that keeps the square there. It is not real on its own. It needs you and everyone else to survive. You can break out of it by thinking outside the square. You have heard this many times, but now you can finally do it all the time. You do it by dropping all constructions you have in your mind as to how to do things. For example, some people who have never had a university education believe that to be wealthy, one has to have a university degree. They were told that, and they think they may have observed that, so they hold it true. But this limitation can be removed simply by dropping that construction and belief in it from all thought. Many have dropped it and succeeded wildly. In fact, Bill Gates of Microsoft voluntarily dropped out of college. He just never did finish that undergraduate degree. and millions around the world have succeeded wildly without a college degree. This is not to say that you should not go to university. Universities have a very important role, but if you find that your square, your box, is that you have not been to university and you are unable to go there, then simply drop the construction that your belief and your construction and belief in, and your square will drop. That is thinking outside the square. Another guy who didn't finish his college education, I don't remember if it was undergrad or graduate degree, but Elon Musk, he's a billionaire. He has Tesla and SpaceX, and he started PayPal and all this other stuff. And it's amazing how, as an entrepreneur, I've come across so many people who really find that university is like the biggest scam. I'm just saying. And I think the first person I heard say that was like Dan Henry, who was the fastest two comma club earner within the Russell Brunson's students. Russell Brunson is the owner and founder of ClickFunnels, and Dan Henry is a marketing guru who teaches people how to become marketers and how to have their own ad agency. And he literally became a multimillionaire, I think, within a year. And so one of his things he was saying, he was being interviewed, and people said, what do you think about university? He was like, it's the biggest crock. And honestly, guys, anybody who's listening after today's recording, I went to university. I did my undergrad and my master's. But I didn't really learn as much as I did outside. Like I learned more outside than I did in, to be honest. Yeah, you get a good foundation, but like the stuff that really matters, the stuff that I was able to apply, I was learning it on the job, by doing self learning, that type of journey. And so it's just something that a lot of people think, oh, you have to go to university for you to be successful. That's totally not true. Not true. So simply drop that construction and your belief in it, and your square will drop. That is thinking outside the square. You can do this in anything, from product development to finance to new business ideas to anything else. You do it merely by being aware, intending to do it, and consciously dropping your constructions. Question: how do you build a totally new and radical house or car? You build one by dropping all previous constructions of how you have to build, or how you have been told a house or car needs to be built. Drop it all and have a clean slate without any shoulds and should nots. Then drop the slate. Let it all come to you. Inspiration, unrestricted by should or should not, is key. It is a very deliberate yet unbound thing to do. Very fruitful. Ask Einstein. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Make all conditions serve you. For that is what they're here to do. They're an experimental field created wholly for your environment, for your enjoyment, self-discovery, and learning. This is because they are fashioned out of your previous thoughts, words, actions, and state of being. Honestly, I love being able to think about something and be like, you know what? What if that weren't true? What if I could do like whatever I want? What if I didn't have that preconceived notion that I had to do a certain way? Well, what could I do then? Right? That's why in our business we go through a whole coaching process and we say, what's your dream day? What does it look like? Don't worry about if you think you can't actually achieve it. What does it look like? Describe it. And then you find your brain, the interworkings start to tick and talk, and they actually start to get you into the path to achieve that thing that you thought was never possible and that you just thought was a dream, and now it can become your reality. It's because once you just think outside the box, you can find the path to get to where you want to go. It's really amazing, and that I totally believe in. There's nothing in this section that I've just read that is counter to any of my fundamental beliefs. Honestly, it's amazing how your mind has so much power. What do you think, Michelle?
I think you're right. And to further on that, I think it's because your conscious now knows that it exists, right? Like things are on the subconscious, and then things are on the conscious, and then there's also something called the superconscious, which is what we come into this lifetime with knowing, and then we decide that we're going to let that go and go with our conscious and our subconscious. And so before, like if you don't even have an idea that you can do something, of course you don't really think about it. So when someone introduces that idea to you and you have an open mind enough to say, well, this is what I want, your mind is like, oh, okay, it is possible.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Let's see. And I'm sorry?
I was trying to interject there. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. So then the mind is like, okay, well, let's see, and the mind now knows it's a desire that comes from the heart. So then the universe starts bringing in all this stuff to inspire you to act. It conspires with events and people and things start showing up. Things like I call them like God whispers or synchronicity
Right
or whatever.
You're right there.
Yeah.
You can talk about it right
now.
now.
Okay. It goes like, yeah, that like for me, it's goosebumps. I get huge goosebumps when I'm talking my truth, and I know that my heart and my mind are aligned, and I'm going where I'm, where it feels best. And so, so we get those little signs, and we're like, okay, so that is possible. And things keep coming to keep expanding your consciousness more and more. And I believe that's what it's all about, is getting that consciousness expanded so that you can believe in the next step.
What's so sad and what's a shame, Michelle, is that people just stop dreaming. They just are so fearful that they won't achieve what it is they want right away. And they don't have that perseverance that they never even try, and that is just a shame. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Face all financial and other difficulties calmly and without worry. Even before they occurred, they have been solved. Even before you asked, it has been given to you. Simply receive. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Here's exactly what you were talking about. There are no coincidences, accidents, chance, or luck in this universe. The universe works under perfect laws that never make any error even once. The source, God, does work perfectly. Everything works out perfectly by law. Things only look like coincidences and accidents to those who do not see the truths behind them. It's so amazing. Once you become aware, like for example, I told myself, I put a goal that I am going to buy myself a Tesla car. And, before I said that, I didn't see one on the road barely. But after that, what I did? I went and I test drove one. It's kind of like what Landon and Stapes was talking about. They were saying do your little micro things. I can't remember what they called it. It's like micro experience or something like that. So if you want a Tesla, go drive one and see how you like it. And I did that. And I'm totally going to get one. I see them all the time, and I can see myself getting one. I can see how I'm going to achieve that. But it's no coincidence, me saying I want something and then those things becoming more and more feasible in my life. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Nature works with effortless ease and precision, with infinite organizing power in incalculable ways, without resistance. You do not have to understand how your wealth will be created. Simply hold your vision high, think, speak, and do by your vision, and automatically, coincidentally, quote, quote, it will all work out. Do not resist whatever happens along the way, for it is nature's incalculable ways working out to bring you what you envision. Just hold your end of the bargain by keeping your vision high and steadfast. Have that perseverance and think, speak, and act by your vision. Be detached. In this point, be detached from the way that you're going to get there. This allows nature's creativity to work for you. Detachment means not preferring anything other than what is happening right now, but having the freedom to choose a different future. What is happening right now is the perfect manifestation of your previous intentions, thoughts, words, and actions. Preferring an alternative now leads to delaying the achievement of your goals. Such preference is wanting, and wanting perpetuates a state of wanting. For example, if it is your desire and intention to become a multimillionaire and you have done your part in aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with your vision, you must admit that you do not know which is the best and optimal path for you to take to reach that goal. You cannot predict the exact day-to-day events from now on that you need to lead you and that you need to lead you to your desired outcome. But the source can do that easily. Your inner self can do that as well, and it will take you there in the best way possible. Let it work its magical way by not resisting the moment of now that it brings to you. Just do your part and let it do its part. It is the fastest, most effective, most enjoyable way, and you can be happy and restful always, for you know what is coming eventually. It's like I did a go live one time talking about the Islamic fundamental of what we call tawakkul, or a reliance upon God, which is you do your part. It's called ittikhadh bil asbab. You do that which is necessary to get you where you want, and then you leave the rest in God's hands, in a manner of speaking. And you have the utter reliance on God, knowing that whatever path He chooses or whatever actually outcome He chooses is best for you, because He knows best, and you are going to be satisfied with that, even if it didn't appear to be the thing that you wanted. You can just continue on with your intention and your perseverance, and even if you fail, we fail forward, right? And we learn from our experiences. And so that is definitely something very strong. And I think that it's important for us to always keep that top of mind, because it's easy for people to become depressed and just fall through the cracks when they don't get what they want, what they think they want, when honestly the universe, when God is actually the best of planners. It's like in the Arabic expression, "Anta turid wa ana urid wa inna Allah yaf'al ma yurid." So you want and I want, but verily God knows whatever He does, whatever He wants, right? And so just allow the things to happen and you just receive. So I really like that. What do you think? I'm gonna have 10 minutes left on this Zoom, which is probably fine. I'm gonna just keep the time. It's 8:32, so at 8:42 we should be done, hopefully. Any comment?
Okay, do you want me to talk, or do you want to go ahead and read? You can read.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine.
You summed that up really well.
Cool.
Okay.
So let it work its magical way by not resisting the moment of now that it brings to you. Just do your part and let it do its part. It's the fastest, most effective, most enjoyable way, and you can be happy and restful always, for you know what is coming eventually. That's exactly what I was just saying. I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. Calmness is power. Calmness puts you in harmony with yourself and nature. It puts you in control of your thoughts, enables you to have right thought. It is testament to the fact that you are not your circumstances, and you are not inferior to your circumstances. Calmness is confidence. Calmness is your true nature, perfect balance, perfect stillness, and perfect peace. Always say, I am calm. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Calmness is not suppression, but true calmness is clear and open. It does not hide or suppress anything internally in order to show calmness. It is pure and natural. Calmness represents and can be developed by knowing, internalizing, practicing, and living the laws of the universe, the laws of life, laws such as the ones in this book. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Suffering indicates an error in thinking. It is a cue for you to find and change that error. Often in the deepest moments of suffering is the biggest opportunity to find new truth. But suffering is not necessary. In fact, the most enlightened of people have been able to eliminate suffering completely. Suffering is just a means of communicating from yourself to your personality and mind and back to self. To put it briefly, and is only used when there are no other options. The people who are most resistant to more subtle clues from themselves find themselves suffering the most. Those who are most aware and tuned to their self through things such as active intuition, are able to work out life deliberately instead of having life work them out. It's kind of like I was saying, you have that utter satisfaction with the way that God has put the pieces into motion, because you know and you have full faith in God and the full reliance that He's going to do the best for you. And so you don't suffer. You know, things happen, you don't let them get to you. I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. Conditions do not exist. Conditionality is an illusion. Conditions are created to create an environment that matches your thoughts. In other words, conditionality is an illusion that follows thought to fulfill and manifest thought into experience of that thought. Conditions convert thought from symbols in the mind to actual experiences. The reality is that the universe contains all that there can possibly be, and all held in the eternal moment of now, here. But if you believe and think that you are poor, conditions will form around you to fulfill that belief and those thoughts. On the other hand, if you believe and think that you are wealthy, conditions will form around you to fulfill that belief and those thoughts. Thus, the statement that I cannot afford that because I don't have the money is false. What is actually happening is that you believe in insufficiency, and the world around you arranges itself over time to present you with needs of things that you cannot afford. By the way, for the same reason, need is also an illusion. How can you need what you already have? And you have it all, for it is all created, even before you're asked. It has been given to you, as Jesus and many other teachers have told us before, and now quantum physics is showing us the same thing. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Conditions do not exist. Conditionality is an illusion. You cause conditions, yet it seems as if they are placed upon you by external forces. This is one of the most liberating insights. Understand it deeply, live by it, make all your decisions by it, and life will become magic. Just try it. I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. When you fight against circumstances, you're actually fighting fruitlessly against the effects, strengthening and preserving the cause. Let us say, for example, that your circumstances are such that you see yourself broke. If you act from a broke perspective, cutting costs, being mean and stingy, being bitter, scared, and jealous, in an attempt to prevent yourself from being even more broke, what are you really doing? Can you start to see how you are perpetuating and energizing the broke conditions? By consistently believing and thinking about being broke, you are creating the conditions of being broke. Through the power of belief and thought. Remember, the universe always gives you what you think about most often, believingly. It is at your command. The way to fix being broke is to take on a state of wealth internally and speak and act from that perspective. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Wealth is first a state of being, which is then experienced. It is not the other way around. Wealth is not created because of certain conditions. Certain conditions are created because of wealth. Abundance is not created because of certain conditions. Certain conditions are created because of abundance. Conditionality does not exist. The following statement is wrong. A person is poor because of certain conditions around him or her. The following statement is right. Conditions of poverty are around a person because that person's self and thoughts are of poverty consciousness. The state, beingness, creates the conditions. Most people think it is the other way around. Those who see it clearly find their conditions magically transforming themselves to give them, quote, quote, lucky breaks and coincidences. I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. Get out of the thinking that you are your conditions. Say, I am not my seeming lack of wealth I wish to have. I am not my job. I am not my condition. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Why do things repeat themselves? Some people always keep failing in whatever business they try, for example. Here is the reason. You keep bringing yourself the same circumstances and situations over and over again until you decide to recreate yourself anew. Change your thought pattern and change yourself into a new, improved being. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. Avoid judging things as right or wrong. Things are just things. Their classification lies in the choice of the observer of these things to classify them as good or bad, right or wrong, fun or not. The minute you judge things, you judge yourself. You also block the hidden gift that an event brings to you. The Taoists have a wonderful way of explaining it, using the story of the farmer whose horse ran away. The farmer's horse ran away, and his neighbor, feeling sorry for this farmer, said to the farmer, "I'm sorry that such a bad thing happened to you." The farmer replied, "Don't be sorry, for who knows what is good or bad." Well, the next day the horse ran away. The horse that ran away came back to the farmer. This time, bringing with it a herd of wild horses that it had befriended. The neighbor said to the farmer, "I congratulate you for your good fortune." The farmer replied, "Don't, for who knows what is good or bad." Well, the next day the farmer's son tried to mount one of the wild horses and fell, breaking his leg. Again, the neighbor said to the farmer, "I'm sorry, sorry that such a bad thing happened to you." The farmer replied, "Don't be, for who knows what is good or bad." The next day, soldiers came by to forcefully recruit for the army, but the farmer's son was exempted because of his broken leg. Now, this is just a simple story, but it demonstrates the miracles that the source works in the most unpredictable and seemingly unconnected ways, so that all things work out to perfection. For those who know and work with the laws of the universe, those who apply the law of cause and effect, who have certain goals and purpose and vision, then this magic works beautifully, bringing with it synchronous events, coincidences, and many other twists and turns that lead to the desired end. So avoid judging things and people. It only slows you down and harms you. For you do not know the chain of events planned. Also, you become what you judge, and what you condemn returns to affect you. By law of cause and effect, when you judge and condemn, you set yourself up to being judged and condemned. Your part is simply to have a clear vision and certainty on all matters that relate to your life, the inner workings of how your visions and goals will come to be. The daily events, good or bad, are taken care of for you as long as you do not interfere with the process. I'm going to stop here because we have less than a minute, but thank you for listening, and we're going to continue this next time. Just remember, I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. All right. Bye, Michelle.
Ahmed, thank you so much. Bye, sweetheart. It was wonderful. I love these.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, hun.